Hi guys. SKP and I are here today for a very special video.
You made it kind of sound like a cult intro. Like, hi, welcome to our cult.
Yes, welcome to our cult. We only serve breakfast.
We only wear pajamas.
That's right.
And we only talk smack.
Okay, so on a serious note, SKP and I are here today because we want to talk to you guys about our experience on being on Stylish with Jenna Lyons.
We filmed the first episode, gosh, over a year ago at this point.
Over a year.
I think we started, and we've actually gotten some questions about this.
Yes.
But I think we started the casting like September, October, and I think we filmed Townhouse in November.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great times.
Great times. This has been a long time in the making. It's been a long time where we've had to be really quiet about this experience. We haven't really been able to share what was going on, even with like friends and different things.
There's so many like things online that people are like curious about. We opened a questions poll on our Instagram stories and welcomed in some questions to try and answer as many as we can to the best of our ability. I'm just excited to be here and to finally have this moment where we can kind of just like openly share with you guys our experience. We might have some special guest appearances.
What? Who could it be?
Who? Also, I do want to make note, guys, if you like the pajamas that we are wearing, this beautiful angel, you can head to westofbreakfast.com and get these sets. I am wearing you're wearing the lovely one. The lovely one.
I'm wearing the clever one.
Yes. Please head to the site if you like what we're wearing and cop them. There's so much content on both of our Instagrams. If you're not following us, please take the time. We would really appreciate it. You can follow me at Alon Cameron, and you can follow her at Sarah Kate Price.
Easy enough.
Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and...
Should we delve in?
Yeah,
let's delve into some of these questions. So starting with kind of like back to the very beginning, we have a really great question from someone. Were y'all casted or were y'all originally just interviewing for a job? And I know we both kind of had some different experiences.
Yeah.
I actually got a DM from my old boss, who's my super close friend now, and she sent me someone's Instagram story, and she was like, I think it was Kyle's actually. She was like, I don't know what this is, but you would be perfect for it. And I think like you saw basically the same thing, and it was saying, looking for a curator position. Are you obsessed with fashion, home, and beauty? Do you have an eye for design? Jenna Lyons is looking to hire people. Yeah. Whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And I think at that point it did mention that it was televised, but it didn't say that there was a competition. It didn't say, it kind of said like must be comfortable on camera. But it was really unclear like what those parameters were. We're gonna ask you some questions, and this is, you know, get your work experience, because it was like from the very beginning it was that we were interviewing for a job. Which the question at that point was, what is the job? Which was kind of a question, and Jenna was trying to figure out the company, which I think has been something that's evolved, especially this was pre-COVID. This was a year ago.
Yeah. I had just graduated college that May. So I had been sending out job applications basically for like that whole month. I was like on LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, like I was just sending my application everywhere. One of those emails that it's like, oh, like the hiring person for this thinks you'd be a great fit for this job and wants you to like apply, like whatever. So I kind of got like recruited into it. On my thing, it said has to be comfortable on camera. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe they'll do like a YouTube video part of it. I was like, okay, like cool. Like I had no idea it was a TV show. I don't think it was until like maybe my second phone call that they were like, yeah, no, this is a reality show. And I was like, plot twist. I was like, okay. And then one thing led to another, and I was in Jenna's office,
which was
crazy. I was like,
I'm curious, how did you feel about doing the reality TV thing? Like, were you like, yes, I'm on board? Did you have reservations? This is something that like popped up in our questions a little bit too.
Yeah, I feel like during the casting, I like was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a star. I was just kind of like, this is a great opportunity for me to get my name out there, to kind of like help me jumpstart my career. I was very much looking at it as like a business opportunity, you know, like maybe I could end up getting this amazing job and we'll have fought for it publicly. The glamour of a reality TV show faded very quickly though for me. Yeah. I would say by like around January, it started to just kind of feel like a job. Now after watching the show back, I don't really know how I feel. Now I feel like I was on a reality show.
See, I still don't even feel like, now I feel like I don't think it's really hit yet. Hasn't been a lot that's kind of been out in the world about like us or about the other associates. It's been,
true.
A lot of the press is kind of focused on Jenna and her building her team.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you search our names, I don't think anything regarding the show comes up. You could totally just deny it in life.
Honestly.
I'm like, that wasn't me.
Who? Wasn't me. Who?
Wasn't me.
And for me, I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't for the business opportunity of it. Of like, I respect Jenna Lyons, I respect her work, and this is a really cool opportunity to work with her, and the doors that could open, kind of like what you talked about.
It was a business opportunity.
It was a business opportunity. Even from when we first filmed with the Townhouse episode 1, I got that sense, and it's so funny because I look at that episode and I was so nervous, and it showed all over my face. I had crazy eyes the entire time. I was like, don't say anything bad. Don't say anything bad.
Literally same. I'm glad that you brought that up because like obviously here we are together sitting on her bed. I feel like after Country House we started like having one-on-one conversations. I think we just like learned each other's strengths and learned how to lean on them. I'm sure like I am speaking for myself here, but I'm sure you can relate. Like there was a moment where you walk on the set and you're like, I have to prove myself, I have to be the best, I have to show myself, I have to show my skills, I need to prove to Jenna. And especially on day one, and I think that us being so in that and like us also not knowing each other and not really having time to get to know each other either.
These two girls, so opposite in so many ways, like let's put them together and see what happens.
I know, the beauty of our friendship is that where I lack, you have surplus and vice versa.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, like and I love doing collaborative projects with you for that reason, and I'm so happy to be able to call her a friend. And I wish that they showed our evolution more like on the camera.
Honestly.
All right, what did you guys think when Jenna automatically knew who did what based on your styles?
I wasn't surprised. Like, here's the thing. We had such a diverse group of people, and everyone had a very distinct style.
Okay, so I literally have gotten like 4 of these questions, but people want to know if we were compensated on the show, if we were paid for it.
Technically, yes. So we were paid an appearance fee per episode. It was enough to kind of cover some of the expenses of being on the show. Because, like, you were commuting from Westchester.
Yeah, definitely. Mike was commuting from Philly. I wouldn't say that I made money from being on the show, but also, you know, with commuting, things like that, there's also like other factors that go into it that sometimes you don't think about. Like, you know, like you're gonna be on television, you know, you're worried about what you're gonna wear, so you buy new clothes, you pay to get your hair done, you buy new makeup, new shoots, like, you know, like that appearance fee literally means I appeared and she appeared and I was there and this is my appearance and I appeared. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to, like, I didn't pay anything to be on the show, you know, like they paid for me to be there, for sure.
Yeah. There were some shoes that I bought that maybe were outside. I maybe paid a little bit. I don't want to look at the receipts.
Okay. So I got a question, and I actually think this is really, really, really funny. What happens with the stuff that we pull for interior project that Jenna like replaces with her stuff?
Good cue. That's a good.
That's actually hilarious.
Certain companies that, you know, the show had a partnership with, like ABC Carpet and Home, fabulous to work with, Anthropology, and so there are certain things where like, even when we took it from the store, it was kind of understood that it was on loan to us, and that if the owner of the home wanted to buy it or whatever, it could be purchased, but it was understood that these items are being taken on loan, which for styling is pretty standard. Like
the thrifting stuff that we bought in Country House, I don't know where it is now, but I think Jenna still has some of that stuff in storage.
I know where one thing is. I know Mike got the hutch.
Yes, Mike got the hutch. Mike got the hutch.
Well, this is a quickie. How much Diet Coke was consumed while filming? And that one is easy. You don't want to know. I don't want to know. My blood runs brown with Diet Coke. It's like not ideal.
Okay.
How did it feel stepping in Jenna's dog's poop emoji, laughing emoji, sweating emoji?
Here's the thing. Okay.
That was the craziest morning.
Here's the thing. It was genuine and it was not staged. And I don't say that with pride. Popeye and I had a certain relationship before that. You know what I'm saying? We had a rapport going. You know, Popeye liked me. You know, we'd be sitting on the couch. Popeye would always call in my lap.
Yeah.
Popeye was showing me love, and I was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he set me up.
Did they put you up when you went to the Country House, and where did you sleep for 2 hours? So that was like the only episode where we were like outside of our comfort zone, outside of the city, where we were actually staying somewhere.
Yeah, we weren't living in housing or anything like that.
Thank goodness. Although, we would have been fun roommates.
It would have been fun, but it also would have been so chaotic.
But also, like, keep in mind, we had jobs. Like, I had a full-time job. Like, there was other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so where did they put us up? We were in this funny, bizarro hotel. I don't even remember the name of it.
I couldn't even tell you the town.
I literally pulled up my phone and Googled, where am I?
Literally.
Had no idea.
No
had
cell
no idea where I was.
service, the middle of nowhere.
Hi Google, dear Google, where am I? No idea. Like,
seriously.
Google responded question mark.
Seriously.
I don't know. Funny little hotel, which had the only restaurant basically that we could go to the entire time because there was nothing else that was closed.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. We had times in that restaurant.
Oh my god. We had to be on set at like what, 6 a.m., 7 a.m.?
Oh yeah.
One thing I really loved about the country house time, even though I was not sleeping, I will say that like we really all bonded at that hotel.
It's like summer camp.
It was like summer camp. Like the production crew, like the other associates, we all just like really bonded during that. We would stay up talking and like laughing and telling, like it was really fun.
Just like we had a time.
We met some locals who were like, oh, crazy. T-Bone, if you're out there, buddy.
R.I.P.
A good one that I have here is what personal moments of yours got edited out that you wish were still there? Or that you wish that made it?
That's a good. Do you have any off the top of your head?
During the date night episode. So in the final edit, they say that like our teams, the girls team and the boys team, like the boys were dressing the woman and we were dressing the man, Laurent. But that wasn't the case. Like they had us dress both people in it, and so it looks like SKP does nothing the entire time, and it looks like Amon is like, her and I were going through something, and it looks like I like didn't want anyone to be involved, but like, you know, like we had the task amongst 3 people and we split it up like in that way.
I mean, tensions were running high for sure, and so kind of what we decide, and there were some scheduling conflicts too.
Amon literally was going to school
to be like neuroscience or something?
It was neuroscience.
Like
something like that. So it looks like SKP like isn't there and isn't contributing anything, but like her and I literally spent hours running around the city.
It was like seriously banging down doors like as they're trying to close, like please let us in for like 5 minutes. Yeah, it was like we had kind of decided that with some of the time restrictions that were happening and with, you know, some of the emotions that were going on, Iman and I were kind of going to go one way, and then I was going to support you on stuff with the menswear, and I was a little bit going back and forth to just try and keep things cohesive as much as possible. But of course, like, that wasn't. And this is one thing that, because someone asked a question on mine too, is like, did you feel like the associates were accurately represented, represented well and accurately? And one thing that I think kind of happened and was true is that it's not that anything that was on there didn't happen. And it's funny because even when I was going into, and when I decided to do the show, this is kind of what I felt. They can't take anything that you don't give them. So it's like everything, but they cannot use stuff. I feel like anything that happened was like a hardcore misrepresentation or anything like that. But there were a lot of great moments that I felt like got kind of left out. So, you know, one example is with the Makers Challenge, where we were all pulling different products for Jenna. It showed us that we each had like one product. And we actually each came with 3 products. And like
that's true.
And we got like very different feedback on our different things. And so like one of my products in particular, I remember Jenna really liked that gorgeous hand pin that was so cute.
No, honestly, your stuff was so nice. I don't know if it was like an issue, because the other thing with that challenge is that like in order to move forward, the makers also had to be comfortable with you being coming to your studio and being filmed and stuff like that. Okay. All right, here's a quick one. How long did it take to film the show?
Straight up. Okay, well, so this is kind of a 2-part question too, because we started filming November-ish, kind of like we said, and then we finished filming episode 7, date night episode, at the beginning of March.
Literally the day that New York City closed down, it was the next day.
It was the next day after we wrapped that episode.
Seriously.
New York City closed down. And so then we had this weird long hiatus, and at that point we were planning on being off filming for a week. So we were kind of planning on that. Then we had this long, weird, crazy hiatus that was how many months long? Like, we came back to
5
film.
months.
Yeah, we came back to film in August. And then the last episode was just like a month of filming. And so I think all in, by the time we were back from quarantine and up and filming again, was about a month.
Yeah. Like during quarantine, like, yes, we were in the middle of quarantine. Yes, we were at home.
We were
still
working.
prepping. Yeah.
We were prepping and we were working. That time, it wasn't just like, oh, la-di-da, we're in quarantine. It was like, there was a lot that was happening. We were doing weekly Zoom calls. We were doing meetings. And even this actually was interesting, needing to figure out, because originally this series was greenlit for 10 episodes.
Yes.
And we had just wrapped episode 7. And so there were supposed to be 3 more episodes and we were planning on coming back. And then COVID hits. There was a question mark of, are we even going to be able to finish filming? Like, what does that look like? Are they going to scrap the entire show? I felt sick to my stomach. I was going to throw up. We decided to do, at least from what we were told, was to scrap the last 2 episodes, do one kind of big final episode. But that also meant, like, what was a project we could work on in quarantine? Like, there were a lot of things in my project that got left out. And Justin's. Like, there were so many other things.
Justin's.
We should call him. Yeah, let's call him. Let's call him. Call him. Justin! Baby! We're having a pajama party.
Hey, I see you in your Western breakfast.
Yes,
Western breakfast. Hey, but we're chatting. We're filming some stuff for Tell All, and we were just talking about final projects and kind of all the things that got left out. And
because your project was literally
so good.
Amazing. And
Incredible.
It's been getting such good feedback. Like, I think people really want to, like, A, know about your background more, and, like, B, learn a little bit more about what went into your project and, like, what they didn't show.
I am actually a designer. I know on the show it says stylist, but I'm
I know.
actually
Oh
a
my
fashion
God.
designer.
The weirdest thing. I'm like,
Why
And,
would really be a stylist too, though?
yeah, well, you know, style it's cross-functional, you know, but in the skill of designing, when you're a designer, a lot of times you then get a stylist to help you put things together. Because when you're a designer, sometimes you can get very focused. Like, this is how it's supposed to look. This is what I wanted with, and, you know, certain things. But, you know, I'll take it. You know, it's fine. But I think that was the gist of it in the beginning for me. It was more about making sure, because as we know, it was more than just COVID going on during that time. COVID happened.
Yeah,
it was so much social injustice, unrest. You know, there was so many things going on. It only made it that much more important for me, because not only was it going on across the country, it was going on in fashion. So I felt like it was an opportunity for me to highlight other creatives in my world, people that I appreciate and I love and I like their work, and I wanted other people to see it, because for me to have a moment like that was bigger than just me.
I remember that we were having a conversation pretty early on about representation of the Black community in the fashion space. I was like, you know, I feel like at some point it becomes like exhausting to like have to fight your way like into the room and fight your way into the conversation. And I remember you saying something that really kind of changed my perspective on it, that like still kind of sits with me. You were like, no, like, we're going to fight into our way into the room, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to take our people and we're going to bring them in. It's like, we will crack open the door, and once the crack is there, I'm kicking it open and I'm letting my people in. And like, that just always like stuck with me. And I think that it really like resonates and shows like through your final project.
Yeah. And you know, for me, and not even just Black, I think, of course, my theme was Harlem Brunch was really a metaphor for Blackness. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody understood that now. But, but it was also special for me to bring on all things that I love, because we would have that aspect of telling us more about you, like even involving my favorite restaurant in New York, Cascalote.
Yes.
Their family
So good. They didn't say the name of the restaurant. Give them
They
their
said it very quick. But it's
So
Cascalote. If you're in New York, go see them. Tell them I sent you. It's amazing. I think Jenna and Sarah and Kyle and everybody love the food. One thing what they didn't see is how we was really eating. It was not a game. It wasn't fake
What
eating.
food did you have? What food did you have?
Oh wow! I don't even remember the menu. It was like 4 courses. We couldn't even do all the courses because we ran out of time.
I mean,
And it was like, we got to go. But it was a real meal, you know.
Well, and I was so bummed too, because I remember, because you and I both went kind of a similar direction with our final projects, where we went kind of event based so that we could do lots of different things. And so I remember we were kind of chatting about that. And I loved the we designed invitations for our parties. Like, there was a lot of things we did, and your menu coincided with it. And you did that really gorgeous kind of graffiti art.
Oh,
menu.
I never saw that.
It was a good time. And that's another artist, you know, that I wanted to bring in, and who did the packaging and stuff for the invitations. And, it was just so many things that were thought out, and it was so specifically, everything was specifically picked. And then things happen, and even just dealing with COVID. And I think that was interesting that the audience didn't see, is that COVID did play such a big part on any hiccups that we may have had.
Yeah,
Totally.
Artists that was bringing in artwork, and I mean, you can't be mad because they sell their work, but they need to eat and live. So it was like literally those walls were supposed to all be covered, like murals, life-size things, because I wanted to feel almost like a gallery / dining area. It was supposed to be such a different mood, but it happened.
Well, and that's what's crazy too. And we were chatting a little bit about this, is that it's easy with that final episode, with episode 8, to forget that was over the course of 6 months. Like we spent as long filming that final episode as we spent filming the entire rest of the season.
Yeah.
Because, but like so much of it was just the preparation and all those things. And it was the part of COVID where everything was on such lockdown. Like businesses didn't know when they were going to be opening back up. So we're trying to do these projects and coordinate with artists and do all these other things when the world didn't know. Like, it's easy now to sit here in hindsight's 2020 and be able to say, we were able to come back and film in August. At that point, we had no idea, and no one did. And that made things really hard. It was hard to get things to come. It was hard to get people to commit.
Not show up the day of.
I don't remember that. I still cannot believe that.
I was so shocked. I still haven't talked to her this day. She will remain nameless. I won't put her name out there. But tonight, no show, no call, no nothing. I had pulled her look. I had dressed, I had pulled her look for her and everything. And she just decided not to show up.
Wow.
Well, and, I have to say too, this summer in New York, a lot of people left the city. And a lot, it was kind of a ghost town in a lot of ways. And so there were a lot of people who I normally would have worked with. And, Justin, I remember talking to you about this specifically as well, where a lot of people we normally would have worked with or would have collaborated with who were simply unavailable, weren't around.
Hands-on with the models. Like, I wasn't allowed to have a hairdresser. I wasn't allowed to have a makeup artist. I like, even doing fittings was really, really hard, and like, I feel like we obviously had, we knew what we were doing, and we had the plans. Like, we knew we were planning our plan forever. And then the moment we got the green light and the money was released to us, I feel like we only had 20 days before we had to show it. So it's like, especially health pandemic, adding that on with all of this trauma surrounding Black Lives Matter. I don't really think that I was in a very healthy headspace at all during that time.
It was really hard. I know that the producers and things, I'm sure they got more of it because they were speaking to us so often and everything. But it was not easy to try to focus on this when so much was going on. Because I was out there marching. I was out there, mask and all, whatever. I was out there. But it was a weird space to try to, you know what you want and what you was here, you signed up to do, and you want to do it and you want to focus on it. But at the same time, it's like, why it's so important to have conversations, because every time something happens, it's like ripping a scab off a wound that didn't heal. And that's the part I think sometimes gets left out of the conversation. It's not so much that it's happening, more so that it continues to happen and it's never healed.
Suppressing it, as shitty as it sounds, suppressing it is part of coping. If you allow yourself to hyper focus on all of the racial injustices that are directed at you and your race, how does one go on with life? There is, especially in the fashion and creative space, there is this element of kind of faking it until you make it. And
I think now we can't afford to be unbothered. We've been unbothered for way too long. So we can't afford to not say something. We can't afford not to address things. We cannot afford to not bring them up, because ultimately that's the only way it's going to change. And I often say this to people in conversations, people say, oh, well, it's uncomfortable concept. It's uncomfortable conversation. Imagine living it. So the fact that you can be uncomfortable with a conversation, imagine being uncomfortable in your own skin. Imagine hearing these same stories from countless creatives, whether you're in the fashion space, whether you're in the art space, who are constantly being marginalized. I just read a story today about, what is his name? Frederick Winston, I believe his name is. He's known for his collages now, but he originally came to New York in the 70s to be a part of fashion and was told, we already have Andre Leon Talley. Why do we need you? Why do we need to hear from you? Those little microaggressions that we think are from the past, but are still very much now. So to bring it all back for me, if what you didn't see on the show, I brought that up in my initial interview. I said, being a Black man in fashion, I'm not always the fashionable one, meaning I'm not the one that's always chosen. But I do know that I have a responsibility to not only represent myself and my people well, but also give a voice when I have an opportunity. Yeah. And the opportunity for me is opportunity for someone else, if not them in the future.
Absolutely. And you 100% did that. I'm really proud and really, really, really grateful that you occupied the space and used it in a way to magnify a conversation in the fashion industry that was very, very important. And I genuinely really appreciate you for that. And you deserve all of the flowers that you get for it.
Thank you.
I don't even want to get emotional. I adore you. But what I want to know, and what everyone is dying to know, what is next for Justin? What's next?
Well, for me, working before this, I was, a freelance designer. I actually had an opportunity to have a position, and I decided to just go full throttle and go on the show. So I couldn't take that position. So right now, just freelancing. I have some things in the works still, but I like to work on things before I ever mention them.
I gotta say, I keep seeing little sketches of things pop up.
Yeah, we see your little.
I'm like, how do we get to play dress up? Designs, Justin.
Okay. Yeah,
how do we get to do
it? When it's there, y'all will know, and you'll be involved.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Justin, for chatting with us. We all love you guys. Can you tell us your Instagram, first and last name?
Instagram. My name is Justin Thompson. My Instagram is JustAwayne, JustAwayne. And my email address, my website is justinwthompson.com.
I will make sure that all of that information is linked below and on the screen, guys. So follow Justin on his social medias.
Yeah.
All right,
freaking love you, babe.
Mom, love you.
Bye. So that's the thing, is with kind of this final project, it was lay it all out on the table, show Jenna how you can be an asset to your business, and still there were a lot of things that are kind of up in the air, like the business is being developed. And so it was so fun seeing everyone's final projects of what everyone did.
In some way or another, we all kind of reacted to what was going on currently in the world and incorporated that into our final project.
I did the whole big crazy pajama party, which was super inspired by, the first time I met Jenna, she was wearing a pajama top. And I was working on West of Breakfast and I was living in my pajamas. So one thing that it didn't really show in my project was that the whole party was basically designed to be a Zoom party. And so there were all these elements that were designed to be able to connect with other people. And so, oh my gosh, I have to show you this thing. I had styled the darling little pajama girls and in these looks, but they were all styled from this challenge that was I titled it #Jenna's Wheel of Fashion, that could be downloaded for anyone wherever you are. And you would land on two things and have a style challenge to pair monochrome and feathers.
Where do you come? Okay. There was a clip that Kyle said in talking about you and your final project, and he was like, well, what did you do during the quarantine? Apparently it doesn't stop.
So many things. I had the gin and tonics, which they showed, but girl, you know I don't drink. I had a skip spritz. It's a little ginger ale that matched the napkins and all the things. We were busy. There was a lot of things that did not even make the cut.
Girl, I don't know how the hell.
Art customization station where you were
I remember you telling me about
DIYing
that,
your own makeup bags and a whole beauty counter. There was a whole second part of my space that didn't get shown at all.
Jenna said this is one last opportunity for you to show who you are and what you can bring to the table. Really took this as an opportunity for me to try and execute something that I had been dreaming of doing that I genuinely felt represented my two worlds. Before the show, I was a digital artist. So I wanted to kind of bring that into it, and obviously I've been working as a stylist, so I wanted to kind of do a healthy kind of mix of the two and bring my two interests together. So if there's anything that I'm really, really proud of about the show, it is definitely that project. I feel that was my baby.
As you should be.
That was my baby. Let's actually call Mike. Yes, let's call Mike and have him talk about his final project that,
oh my gosh, so pretty.
He won!
Sunny.
Literally, let's
get him on the phone.
Hi, Mom!
Hi!
How are you? It's beautiful.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay, good.
Are
I can.
Shut
up. Yes, and I'm in bed.
PJ party. For real PJ.
Do you notice? Do you recognize this?
Oh, that looks so good. That's a Drake project.
It's from the final project. Yeah, I repurposed them into a wall covering.
Love.
I'm dead because we were just talking about the final project, which is why we called you, because we were like chatting about it and reminiscing and thinking about how crazy that was. And we had some questions that people asked, like what the experience was like with the final project, and also like where did things go.
Also, we want to like have an opportunity to properly introduce yourself and to kind of talk about who you were before the show and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Jump in where
Hi, I am Mike Grady. My Instagram account is mike.grady at mike.grady. And you can also follow along on my website, which the new launch for that is happening in January, and that is heymikegrady.com. Hey, Mike Grady. Oh, girl. I don't even know where to start. Okay, I need to get one inconsistency in the show out of the way.
Oh my gosh, yes, put it out there.
I am not a fashion editor, nor have I ever claimed to be a fashion editor. And every time that would pop up on my title on the show, which I don't blame Jenna for this, but for the record, I am an interiors editor, and I've been working freelance, or I've been working in a freelance capacity for the past 9 years. I work a lot with Better Homes and Gardens and their family of magazines. So that's what I do.
Sell it.
Yeah.
Your stuff is
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
So I just want to clarify, because there's a lot of people who do not believe it. The job is real. You have a job.
The job is real. I work for Jenna. I go into work.
Lovely,
yes.
lovely. Just to clear that up.
It's a real job, and it's a lot of work.
Love.
Yeah, it's definitely I've never worked in a startup atmosphere before. Technically, we all worked for a startup for the last year.
Yeah.
So,
last year. Holy cow. Yep.
It's so wild. I cannot believe that it's been a year, but it's the startup atmosphere is a little bit different than what I've experienced before. So there's been a little bit of a learning curve there. But I can say that my rock through all of that has been Kyle. He is amazing, and he is definitely right. What I do love about him is he has a really loving and delicate way of delivering honesty and truth. I mean, can I just jump into something?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of bummed me out that the nuance of everybody's personality was kind of lost on the editing.
Totally. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
There was this battle, right, that the production was having between telling our story and telling Jenna's story. And I think that it was kind of difficult for them to find that balance. Yeah. And the saddest part for me was losing the backstories.
Me too, yeah.
Justin's whole triumph over cancer, that wasn't told. That's an amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an incredible part of his story, and I think it's what sets him apart as an achiever and somebody that works really hard, because he has overcome so much adversity in his life.
Totally. Same for you, though.
Honestly,
you have a really beautiful backstory of you overcoming childhood traumas, and
I mean,
so much
that I was really hoping that they would include that conversation about child abuse and childhood trauma that Jenna and I had on the porch, and they did include some of it, but it didn't touch on any of that. And it's really important for not only kids out there that are living in abusive households or abusive situations to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No,
Surprise. Mike is crying. I think it's important for those kids to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also so important for adults that have been through trauma or have been through traumatic life situations to know that you're not alone. I want to tell them, I know that this triggers defensiveness in you. I know that you struggle with feeling comfortable in your body and feeling comfortable in confrontational situations. And sometimes the smallest of stresses can feel like the biggest of events. And the rest of my adult life is going to be spent relearning how to handle stress and adversity. And it costs a lot. Therapy is not cheap.
Yeah, he's not cheap.
I was bummed that they didn't include any of that in the storyline. I'm sure that the two of you felt some of that too, and how you were
Totally.
That we all had something really special and really important to be told. You know, I think talking about queer identity was something that was also overlooked on the show. I mean, I fucking like came out. I literally came out on the show.
That was actually the first thing that I said to Blake when we were sitting watching it, because I definitely woke up at 3:00 in the morning and streamed the whole thing.
Oh, same. Yeah, I stayed up until 9.
I know you were up, Alon. I was texting you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the queer, like, you know, like, I think that was lost. Like, Jenna's a like unabashed out lesbian, and Kyle is clearly homosexual.
The thing is like that I honestly really love is that like that's cool and that's okay that like we all have, and I think like one thing that I think is prone to happen sometimes is people in the queer community get really boxed into like queer community, straight community. Like sometimes there can be a there.
Yeah.
And
what I
love
that there was
like
a range. Yeah.
Totally.
I think what's so interesting about like that queer box is like, that's the interesting about queerness is like, you can't box it in. And that's what's so incredible about it is that, and what I've realized, and it took me a while to get there because for so long I identified as a gay man. And I realized I was doing a disservice to my femininity. I was doing a disservice to the multitudes that I contain as a human being.
The multitudes.
Yes. I have to say it was really special to go on the journey that we went on together. I couldn't have asked for a better group of companions through that journey. It was really special.
I feel like, we were talking about this earlier as it pertains to ourselves, but like I think that's something that kind of gets lost in it is like how close we all were.
The show just came out and like things are fresh, but like, you know, I don't see that changing. We'll all be bonded to each other through this experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, SKP and I are clearly on some adventures, honey. We're on some adventures.
I love it.
That meant so much to me and still means so much to me. I mean, like these have been very real relationships that I don't know what other reality shows are like because I've never done one. And this is a first for all of us. But I mean, this was really special, and I can't imagine going through it with anyone else. And like,
I agree.
I know.
Oh, you know something else they left out, SKP?
What?
They left out the fact that me, you, and Kinley all grew up Mormon.
I know. Which is so crazy.
We talked about this on the show. Like, even though like I don't agree with some of the ideologies that the church promotes, and I think that there's a lot of former members who are queer and gay that would say that. I will say one thing that they do foster in the LDS church is community and love and support and family, and I always found that so uplifting at a time when I really needed community. And of course, like we bonded over that, and it was. Yeah, it was like I was surprised that they didn't include any of that.
Because I mean, that's the thing is that and we talked. There were so many things about kind of where we've all come from and how we've developed that I think shape who we are as creatives and who we are as people that were really left out. Which, you know, one thing we talked about is one question that we got, Mike, that someone put forward that I thought was a really good one was, do you feel like you and the other associates were accurately represented? And the thing that we kind of said is, you know, like all the negative things that happened did happen. I don't feel like we blew anything out of proportion necessarily. Like all the things that happened did happen, but so much that was really good and that provided a lot of context was also.
Honey, we all had so many moments on camera that did not get shown. And of course,
and that's the thing is I like honestly don't care. It's fine. But it's just like, it is interesting. I'm like, we are where we are at this point. But I think Alon and I were talking about this too, that early on in the filming process, and I remember watching, the pilot was the one I watched and the most like cringed for myself. And I texted both of you after.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I know you're freaking out.
And like, I had crazy, I looked like this the entire time. I was like, hi.
But you know what I said to you? I was like, bro, it's funny, it's comical, and I feel like if that's what they're setting the stage up for, that's probably what you're gonna be, and it's so true.
Oh my gosh!
Like you were the personality of the show.
Also,
your little clips.
That first time we were on camera, like we were all like nervous, and like we weren't overacting is the wrong word, but like we were all super conscious that there were cameras in front of us.
And I think like even more going into the show, you know, I had a lot of reservations about doing reality, and this I will say held true, they can't take anything that you don't give them, but they can take stuff you give them and take it out of context, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like anything was like crazy.
It definitely happened.
Biggest fear going into it was looking incompetent, looking mean, looking bitchy, you know, whatever it was. And so I think that really shows because I was so sterile in that first episode where I was so like fighting, not wanting to do anything wrong, not wanting to say anything wrong. Yeah. And after our first project together, and you know, we had kind of wrapped right around Thanksgiving, and then we had a hiatus until we came back and filmed in the new year.
Yeah.
And I talked to my family. I was with my family, and I was like, you know, if I'm gonna do this project, I need to be able to be me, and that means that like, of course, I'm gonna be conscious about what I say. Like we all were. We weren't gonna be like, but I was like, I need to be able to be me, and I need to be able to relax enough to do that. And
I think that came through.
Honestly,
I do too.
Compliment that was paid to me by multiple people who know me has been like, it was watching you. Like you were 100% you, and that like the you that we know, like you weren't putting on an act, you weren't putting on anyone. And
so good to have my friends be like, okay, in the first episode, you seemed like you were trying a little too hard. Yeah. Like my interview, but like, of course I was. And then like Jenna's advice to me, which you didn't see, was stop trying to please me so much. And I took that to heart. And, you know, like I did the same thing. I took stock and I was like, who do I want to watch on television? I want to watch myself. Do I have a couple of jokes here and there? Sure. But like, she's not the comedy queen. I'm the heartfelt, put your head on my shoulder, let's cry together queen. That is who I am.
And we all have put our heads on that shoulder and cried.
About when I edit though. We don't have to put this in, but just having a candid conversation.
Let's talk about it, Alon. I want to know how you feel. Yeah. We've talked about this a bit.
I don't know. I just feel like the whole situation with Amon was obviously, there were things that were left out, like really hurt me to like watch it back and like see myself playing like a bully role. Because like part of the like context and dialogue that like was in my like interviews and me talking is like Jenna and I really connected over like being bullied and like, you know, like being the outsider and being always excluded from the conversation. You know, I've grown up in environments where I have been kind of like not really invited to the table. You know,
I know where you went to college.
You know what I'm saying? I've gone to predominantly white institutes all of my life. I've, you know, grown up in Westchester, which no shade to Westchester. I had a beautiful like childhood, you know, like I definitely acknowledge my privileges as a young Black woman, but in the same breath, there was never really a place for me. And I never really had a voice and thing to rely on. And it caused me to be, you know, like have to learn. And it's a blessing and I'm grateful for it because I learned to stand on my own feet and create my own waves and take value in that. But it was really hard watching the whole situation with Amon. And that's not to me to say that I'm super proud of it anyways. Even before watching it, I regretted the situation. You know, there was no need for it to escalate to that point. And I really do wish that we were able to handle it off camera. But I don't know. I'm still like processing it and still dealing with it.
Alon, I hear you. And like, you're right. Half that challenge was cut out. And and also, do I feel...
Country House was cut out as well, which for good and for bad, half of that nonsense.
It's true. It's true. What broke my heart this morning was like reading Twitter and seeing how people were perceiving the situation. And granted, like at this point in the day, like I've released myself from other people's opinions. You know, like I know that other people's opinions aren't any of my business. But what they didn't show that disappointed me was the love that happened after that situation.
Yeah. Totally.
And sitting on the back porch with Justin, with all of you, and having a conversation about being seen and being heard.
Yeah.
Because I know what it feels like to not be seen or heard either. I was a weirdo queer kid in rural South Carolina. Like, nobody paid it. Like if I wasn't being bullied, people were ignoring me. So, and pretending like I didn't exist because they didn't want to acknowledge my presence. And that shit hurts. And I really like, I hate that I did that to Justin. It hurts me that like I did that to him, but it's a learning experience, you know, like, and I grew from it and I'll continue to grow from it. And, you know, like it wasn't just me like crying because Jenna hurt me. I was crying because I hurt somebody I cared about.
Yeah.
you know, and like, that's what was lost in the nuance of that situation is people were just like, oh, like, you know, white boys tears. And I'm like, yeah, you know, white boys tears. Like I just got yelled at in front of 25 people and I hurt somebody that I care about. Yes, I'm crying and I'm upset and I'm sad and I'm disappointed in myself.
I feel like there is a lot of clapback on social media and on the internet about like, oh, like she chose Mike. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you know, first of all, we are more than the experiences on the show. Second of all, there's no background and context for who we are. And third of all, at the end of the day, like Jenna was looking for someone to hire for the team.
This wasn't a competition of like, who's better than who. It's about who was the right fit for what she needed in that moment. Because when COVID hit, fashion became less of a priority to her. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I realize like, it's not that Jenna doesn't love fashion. She loves fashion. She just worked in it for 27 years and she's interested in trying new things.
It's like, you were the most experienced in interior design. This is what you do. You know what I'm saying? And Jenna was really creating a company based on that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she might have known that going into this project or into this process that she was going to be doing mainly interiors. SKP and I might have not been there. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to take away from it. We watched this like company develop in front of our eyes. And with COVID, like you said, changed a lot of things for everyone.
It did.
And business became reoriented. And I think she had to rethink some of the things that she was maybe working on.
You know, like obviously like there's Love Scene and there's other things that she has going on, like the hotel in the Bahamas, which by the way, like they're still doing schematic drawings. They haven't broken ground yet. So that project is like huge and like it's taking a lot of bandwidth from the company. And then Love Scene is like huge. And then there's Rockefeller Center, which has been amazing and incredible. And then there's the pop-up shop, which has been the marketing launch for the show, which has been the itty-bitty little project that I've been working on.
At the end of the day, I think that everything happens for a reason. And I'm grateful for my experience. And I'm grateful for the things that I learned and I took away from it. And I'm grateful for you. And I'm so proud of you. And I cannot wait to see what you guys do. I'm grateful for Jenna. Like, you know,
Thank you.
Like this was a job opportunity. The job was real. And we all knew that from day one. And
100%.
Of course, along the way, there was fun moments, there was bad moments, there's obstacles. But at the end of the day, like that's what this is.
I feel so much gratitude for these relationships that we've established. I feel so thankful for all of the love and adoration that we've shared between each other and for the future of our friendships and our partnerships with each other. And I can't wait to see how we all grow and blossom. It's such a special time in all of our lives. And I'm very thankful to Jenna. You know, she's really special and I really want to see us all in the office together again one day. And I think that'll happen eventually.
It'll come.
But in the meantime, we shall all chat soon. We love you, Mike. We adore you.
Love y'all.
I love you.
Bye. Talk soon, sweet pea. Bye. I want to ask, do we still keep in touch with Jenna and Kyle and Sarah?
Yes.
The answer is yes, and we love them. Heard from Jenna on launch day, and we get texts periodically, and she really is so sweet.
Definitely so.
Kyle is the best on Instagram. Like Kyle comes in hot with DMs.
He is the supporter. He's engaging.
Sarah's the same
Kyle
way.
is who he is.
Sarah always like comments on things on Instagram and will like DM things, and so sweet and so kind, and they really.
So yes, to answer your question, we all keep in touch with everyone. We even keep in touch with the producers. So yes,
and we love them.
Okay, so this has been a super long video. Okay,
sorry. Literally, it's been hours.
So I guess we should end it, SKP, with one final question. Okay. What did you learn most, or what was the biggest takeaway for you from this whole experience?
Ooh, I really love that question, and it's hard to boil it down to one because I feel like there's a lot of
Say your piece. Say your piece.
One of the things that I feel like is hugely empowering and one thing that I definitely want to touch on from it and from being able to watch Jenna and work with her and watch the team is like, I feel like I've been really lucky to work for several women, like even before Jenna, that I had really like looked up to and idolized. The biggest thing that was a takeaway from all those experiences, but was really solidified in this one, working with Jenna and being able to work for her and support her, is that we tend to put these people up on a pedestal and say, like, oh, they can do no wrong. Like, who am I? Like, you know, I'm the queen of imposter syndrome of like, who am I to expect anything of myself to do anything? And the thing is like, you watch these people work and they're they're figuring it out too. And I really appreciate that Jenna was very vulnerable about that with this show, that she's figuring it out too. And the thing that I think is so hugely empowering is you say, oh, if this person who I respect so much and who I look up to so much, if they're still figuring it out, it's okay that I'm still figuring it out. And who am I not to be awesome? But there's something so empowering about that I really appreciated. I don't know. I think like maybe that is my biggest takeaway. What about you? What was like the biggest thing you've learned from this whole crazy ride?
Like when you're in a very saturated market, even being on social media and stuff like that, like it's hard to feel like you are like worthy in comparison. Styling and fashion should be about having fun and should 100%. Be about finding your own voice and your own expression, whatever that means to you. You don't have to fit into a box. You don't have to fit into a label. You don't have to have a bunch of money. At the end of the day, as long as you feel good in what you're wearing and it makes you love yourself and feel confident through that. And number two, as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And that's accessible and that is open to everyone. I feel like once you have that confidence and belief in what you're doing, that's when it starts. Saying I have it all together right now, but like I think my biggest takeaway from this experience is definitely learning to go for it and to be proud. And
the older I've gotten, the more I've like been able to kind of like what you're talking about, trust yourself and acknowledge that like your voice is important for a very specific reason, and you would be doing yourself and those around you a huge disservice to not make that point of view heard.
Our camera died, unfortunately, so you're getting iPhone, SKP, and Alon combos.
But guess what? We're good at that. We're good at iPhone footage.
We are, Oh, it's prepped. It's prepped. If you've made all the way to the end of this video, just know how much it really meant for us. Yeah, how it really meant for us to get our voices out and to make our perspectives and our voices heard. So thank you so much. And thank you for all of the sweet and kind messages. If you reached out to any of us, please know that we do read them. And it honestly makes my day every time. Like, I've cried.
Oh yeah.
Like I've cried.
When I'm like crying myself to sleep at night, I'm like, someone's nice.
And so thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for supporting Jenna, and thank you for supporting the show. We love you.
We love you.
We love you.
Follow this girl at Alon Cameron. She's everything to me. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, follow her, okay, at Sarah Kate Price, all right? And also buy these beautiful sets that we're wearing on westofbreakfast.com because these are weird times, homie. I know you're laying in your bed. Buy them for your mother, your side, your center, your bottom left, and your tight right. All of your placement. And just because Jenna didn't hire me doesn't mean that you can't. And once again,
that's the biggest takeaway.
That is the biggest takeaway. Love Jenna, adore Jenna.
But also we're available.
We're
looking. If you were interested in hiring a couple fun little cute girls who can do really cool things.